Welcome back to Comicstorian, where we take some of your favorite lore within your favorite video games, comic books, and movies, and we break them down into digestible bites, allowing you to understand what is happening through an audiobook presentation and let you catch up on your favorite lore. Today we'll be covering the comic book Dark Souls Volume 2, Winter's Spite. This is one of my favorite franchises, and I wish they would make another one. Let me know what you think in the comments down below once we're done with this one, and if you want to see us playing various video games, don't forget you can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/eligiblemonster every weekend from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, playing various video games like Final Fantasy, Warframe, and Destiny, and occasionally some Dark Souls titles. I hope to see you there, but either way, let's start Dark Souls Winter's Spite. As the frozen air settles in the winter wasteland, a nameless traveler sits in his cell, waiting. He waits for his time to come. And when he hears the clang of his cell door, he knows that this is it. They're here. But he could already tell they were just by the smell of the spilled blood on their ragged clothes. The foul degenerates who serve the master of the frigid hell have come to torment the man once again. The traveler tells the creatures that he is no plaything, that their master can entertain himself. But as one of the creatures grabs the man headbutts the creature, causing the others to stab him where he lays chained. Another creature reaches down, grabbing the man by his helmet. The man knows best not to resist. It is best to just preserve what strength he has, for he will need it. He picks up his sword, walking into the cool arena, and he stands before a giant hulking man wielding an axe. The traveler doesn't fight just because he has to. He fights so he can find a precious heirloom that was taken from him. The shadow-clad warrior came in the still of a night, and he struck him down. The warrior pried the pyre blade, a sacred weapon forged from the soul of his master, Faldor the Accursed, from his hands. And now he is honor-bound to retrieve this weapon. The traveler has crossed through the ruins of Darkenfell, the wastes of Brimanoth, across the Blighted Steep, all to find what has been taken from him. He has fought through hordes of undead beings, all affected by the curse that plagues this land. The traveler followed the footsteps of the shadow-clad warrior, stumbling upon a strange orb. The traveler picked up the orb to see what secrets it held. Had the warrior been ensnared through some wicked sorcery? No matter what befell the warrior, the traveler knew that he couldn't resist until the pyre blade was once again in his grasp. Bright light washed over the traveler, and soon he found himself wandering in a land covered in white. The blizzard pierced his bones, and soon the traveler faltered. That was when those degenerates showed up and they dragged him off. They forced him to compete for their master's amusement, felling creatures of all shapes and sizes. But he wasn't the only one who was made to do this. There were other souls who occupied the remaining cells. However, the shadow-clad warrior was not among them. So the traveler fights, fending off the giant hulking man. The giant towers over our hero, and just as he gets ready to strike, the traveler kicks the giant's knee, shattering it. With a brief opening, the traveler takes his sword, plunging it into the giant's chest. It is a hollow victory, though. The creature was not but a slave like him, and it died in vain. The traveler is escorted back to his cell where he awaits his time once again. It could be hours or it could be days that go by, but the next time that he is called, he knows that this time it will be different. This time it will end. And as the traveler steps back into the arena, he sees the giant standing before him, once again, still with a sword lodged in his chest. The wheel turns and everything begins anew. Life gives to death, death begets life. Such is the fate of this accursed place. As the two are made to fight, the master of this place reclines upon his icy throne, calculating the likelihood of their deaths. The traveler then wonders if the master has calculated the likelihood of his own death. The giant swings his axe down, narrowly missing the traveler, but that was what the traveler wanted. The massive axe lands on the chains, keeping the giant in place, and now he is free and the trap is set. The giant chases the traveler through the master's halls, forcing the master himself to act. And that's when the giant's rage turns from the traveler to his master. he will see to his master's end. While the master and the giant battle, the traveler makes good on his escape, slipping away. He doesn't jump over the walls because he sees a group of soulless creatures, the ones who tortured him in his cell. It doesn't take long to kill them now that he is unshackled. And just as the last has fallen, there is a scream. And that scream comes from the lips of the master of this place as his spine is cracked over that giant's knee. It is an undignified end, but 'tis more than he deserved. The traveler walks through the cells to leave while all of the prisoners plead for him to let them out. One stops him, stating that they would offer a word of caution before going. Parnathia is the cruelest of mistresses. Her heart is as frozen as this ungodly realm. Pray have care and free this ailing soul so that he may guide thee. The traveler tells him that he seeks not the heart of a woman, but the trickster of a man. Save thy breath. He has no need for his counsel or his sword. The traveler then makes haste for the mountains to seek the shadow-clad warrior, but his limbs grow heavy with every step. His sluggish movement catches the eye of the nightmarish creatures who inhabit these wastes, and it sees to take advantage of his plight. The traveler's reactions are something to be desired, but his resolve is unbreakable. The winged beast screams as the traveler's sword cuts into it, removing any life from within it. The traveler takes his prize as he goes through the peaks, sapping him of what little strength he has left. Just as his vision fades, at his weakest moment he sees her, Parnithia, so radiant and serene as if summoned from the very snow itself. He did not know whether she came to torment or to offer him hope. He only knows that he must find her, that her light is a harbor in the midst of this abominable storm. As he reaches out, Parnithia fades into the wind, revealing the path to a distant manor. The climb is treacherous and his strength ebbs. He must preserve what warmth he has and find haven until the morrow. The traveler seeks refuge and finds a small cave, one inhabited by another not long ago. It is not ideal, but it will make for now. Though the thought of consuming such a foul beast nearly turns his stomach, he makes good on his bounty, for this wintry hell offers little choice. As the traveler closes his eyes to rest, he hears the crunching of snow and is awoken by the tread of stirring footsteps. The traveler grabs his sword as 3 undead men riding undead bears make their way into the cave. One of the bears snarls at the traveler, and in that moment is a distraction. The traveler is stabbed in the back by one of the other undead, and the traveler then takes a stick from the fire and he thrusts it into the face of the bears and then slashes through the head of another. The last rider charges at the traveler, but as he gets close, the traveler leaps, cutting the head off the rider with a loud slump. But before the traveler could relax, another rider appears, and his bear smacks the traveler to the ground. The undead tells him to trespass upon the lands of the Duke is to die. You would be unwise to tread this path. As the undead gets ready to strike, a commanding voice yells for them to halt. The traveler sits up, and he asks who would bother to save the life of a stranger. The undead wearing a crown rides in, stating, I am Duke Atinger of Ambervale, and you, traveler, belong to me. The traveler is dragged behind the Duke's bear, and he can offer very little resistance. But while the traveler tries to think of a plan to escape, their destination nears. The domain of the dead Duke of Ambervale. A man so deranged by the touch of the curse that he has constructed a fantasy of civilization around him. Yet there is no civilization here, not anymore. Atinger steps off his bear, telling the guards to cut him loose and take him to the dungeons. After dinner, he will be questioned. Once again, the traveler finds himself a prisoner in this miserable domain. But there is some solace in the fact that his captors have made a grave error in judgment. They allowed him to live. Hours pass before the traveler is summoned by the shambling servants of Atinger. What awaits him? Death? Torture? There's no point in fighting. Yet. As the door to the Duke's chamber opens up, Atinger holds up a chalice stating, Ah, a warrior! Please consider thyself my guest. Wouldst thou care for refreshment? The traveler stares coldly, stating that he wouldst care for his liberty. Thou might think to grant it before he takes it for himself. Atinger laughs, stating that that is not within his power to grant. Thou art sought Parnithia herself. The traveler asks why would Parnithia seek such as he? He is new to this realm and knows not of her beyond the wild imaginings of prisoners and madmen. Atinger then says, Pray be seated, and I shall enlighten thee. Lady Parnithia is one of the most desired women in all of Almeria. Suitors flocked from near and far to pay tribute to her ethereal beauty, yet she remained unmoved by it all. That was until one, above all, found a way to her heart. They were married and were happy, and that was during the Golden Age, before the coming of the curse. The curse did come, and it claimed Parnithia's husband, the curse of the undead. She wept beside her husband's bed until the curse finally took over and she could no longer help him. As all around her began to succumb, Parnithia, mercifully freed of the dreaded curse, retreated to her tower. She wished only to retreat from the world, to shun both living and dead, to find peace in solitude. So through the orb of Atremus, she took her living soul and forged a realm of her own imagining. A frigid realm that reflected the chill that had settled around her very heart. Here her dying husband took upon himself an icy throne, while the soulless Parnithia retreated to the house of Winterspite, to mourn for all eternity. The traveler asks, has he met this woman? And Attinger tells him no, but soon. I have in my possession what she seeks, and I will deliver it unto her. She shall grant me a favor, and I will beg for a reprieve from this affliction. The traveler asks, is it he that she seeks? And Attinger tells him, aye, for is not the warrior who crosses the great expanse have a mind to murder her? The traveler stands telling him, I am not. I only seek that which has been taken from me. The traveler then reaches down, taking the knife from the table, lunging at the Duke. Attinger dodges the attack, drawing his sword, stating that he should kill him now, if thou were not valuable. He calls the guards, telling them to return the man to the cell. On the morrow, they will deliver him to the White Lady. Later, as the cold chains lay heavy on his wrists, the traveler tells himself that he will not die here, not like this, not while his work remains unfinished. An icy blast then shoots from the traveler's fingertips. The traveler jerks his arm so that the blast can hit the chains, causing them to become brittle and break. With his free hand, the traveler grabs one of the frozen creatures, bashing its head against the wall. The second creature tries to stop him, but after missing his blast, the traveler grabs a frozen shard, hurling it at the creature, shattering its fragile neck. The undead guards run in to see what is going on, and as he turns looking at the broken creatures, the traveler punches the guard in the head with a loud crunch. The traveler then holds out his knee to catch the guard and takes the key to unlock himself. And as the cuff falls, the traveler grabs his sword and leaves. As the traveler looks around the city, he very well knows that he can't slip through the town undetected. His only chance of escape would be through the window of the Duke's quarters, so he must return there. As the traveler quietly sneaks behind the gathering in the ballroom, one of the shuffling undead groan as they spot the traveler. Attinger steps through the crowd, telling the traveler that he shall stand down. The traveler swings his sword, telling him that he will not. Attinger walks in, stating that he shall be sorry to kill him, yet he is certain a corpse will nevertheless carry favor with the White Lady. The traveler gets up, crossing swords once again, telling him that it would be better to be a corpse than a shambling echo. The traveler then turns, leaping out the broken window, before hitting the ground below with a loud thud. He gets up and hurries along, knowing that the shadow-clad warrior can't be far. If he came to this ungodly realm to murder Lady Parnithia, then he shall find him here. He shall find him in the dreaded house of Winterspite. As the traveler steps through the halls of the dingy house, he sees an undead laying across the wall. But it's not that interests the traveler, it's the wound that the undead is suffering. He has seen it many times before. As a child, the traveler grew up listening to the stories from his uncle, the ones of slaying beasts in their land. He would tell how the pyre blade would fell the evil creatures, and the traveler knew that he must wield this awesome power. So one night when his uncle slept, he snuck into his room and took the sword. But as he held the sword, he heard someone calling, and he drove the sword through his uncle's chest. When his aunt came into the room, she called to him. She asked, Andred, what happened? And then she too fell. The memories burned like white fire, like wounds. Only the blade itself might cause him to forget. Andred stands back up, hearing the siren's calls, and he marches forward. Parnithia's beauty steals his breath and quickens his blood, yet he senses the danger here. He knows not what purpose she has guided him here for, only that, in her presence, there's a fragrant stench of death. Parnithia's whispery voice welcomes Andred, telling him that he crossed the wilds at her behest. He is a savior, a guardian, a warrior, in her name. Andred says that she is mistaken. He is no guardian. He seeks only that which has been taken from him. Just then, Attinger and his guards storm the room, telling Parnithia to step aside so that he may lay waste to this impostor. He shall defend her till his last. Attinger rushes forward and Andred kicks him into the wall, telling him to keep back. So Attinger raises his sword, stating that he will join the ranks of the unliving. But before he can swing, Parnithia speaks. She tells Attinger that Andred is correct. He art a fool. She uses her magic to dissolve the Duke and his men, with Andred shouting for her to hold. A shadow looms in the room and a voice says, Once we met Andred of Ithvel. The shadow-clad warrior steps in unmasked, telling him to know this, that he shall not dissuade him from his task. Andred sees not the determination in his eyes or the steel of his resolve. All he sees is the blade of his forefathers and his heathen grip. As the warrior lunges Parnithia, Andred stops him, telling him that he shall reclaim what thou hast stolen from him, and thou shalt play recompense with thine life. The two swing their swords, but in the midst, Andred kicks the warrior down, holding his sword to the warrior's throat. He tells him that he is not but a thief, overdue thy execution. The warrior asks, does he see it now? This demonic creature binds the world to her will. She shapes the realm so that others might suffer as she does. Only the Pyre Blade might destroy her and end her nightmarish legacy. Allow him to stand so that he might finish his work, and the blade will be returned. Parnithia whispers into Andred's ears that the time has come, Guardian. Kill him and reclaim thy legacy. Take what is his. Andred stares down and then stops, asking, has he not made himself clear? He is no guardian nor savior. The warrior gets back up and Parnithia asks, what game is this, that my chosen one might betray me? The warrior charges forward, but before he can strike, Andred stabs his sword into the warrior's back. The warrior's blood coats the floor, with Parnithia stating that the truth is finally revealed. Andred picks up the Pyre Blade, staring at its glow, stating that thee are returned. Parnithia then asks if he is not their guardian. Perhaps he is a master? She sees thou hast the nature for it. Thou art cruel and cold enough for her domain. It would serve him in the arena and abroad. Andred looks her in the eyes, telling her, I have seen what has become of your masters. If there is a bargain between us, then my part is now discharged. Thou shalt release me and send me back whence I came. So Parnithia releases her energy, stating, very well, but be warned, in the autumn of this world, the only surety is death. Thou shalt return to her before long, and winter spite shall await thee. And that is volume 2 of the Dark Souls comic. Now, each of these Dark Souls books is an individual storyline in the Dark Souls universe. They're fun. I don't think that they are in proper continuity, but who knows? With Dark Souls, it could be anything at this point. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give that bell a little click so you can get the notification of the new videos. We do gaming, lore, and comic books around Fridays. We're trying to do them. Sometimes we do the lore inside of a game. Sometimes we do the comic book related to it. If you guys are enjoying this, we'll start doing more of them. But right now, it's a Friday thing. You can also find us over on twitch.tv/EligibleMonster every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, playing various video games over there. So come on over, say hi, hang out with us. We would appreciate it. Either way, thank you for your continued support with this project, and we'll see you next time right here.